How you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today, uh, as of Evan's recommendation, we're going to be talking about a little movie called The Brave Little Toaster from 1987. It's
Sounds like a
nothing.
wholesome little romp.
It does, doesn't it? But it's not. It's the most depressing film I've seen all year. It's insane.
It it is a wild one. It's funny. There's like I feel like there's like a retrospective movement with this film. There's a lot of people that like watch it when they grow older and they see it differently, or they like appreciate a different side to this movie that you can't really appreciate when you're a kid. There's a bunch of like references and humor to things that like kids won't understand, like all of the references to like classic Hammer horror films with like the shop, like It's a B movie and stuff like that. It's just so unique, but like it's eerie. It's an
Yeah.
eerie
It
movie.
is also just Toy Story, but depressing,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like it is the plot of Toy Story.
yes it is, and this is one of the funniest things. So we were mentioning it. So apparently this is like a Disney movie technically, and um Brad Bird was actually involved in this movie. He was one of the animators, so maybe some of the ideas of this like trickled their way into Toy Story. But yes, I thematically this arguably is all three of the Toy Story movies. It deals with the same themes. It deals with like abandonment. It deals with like trying to find your place, like trying to look for like your owner or your purpose in life. And it ends with them in the void at the dump, the the place where it all ends if you're a toy or you're an appliance. And it they're more direct and they're a little bit more blatant with the themes and what they're trying to do with like autonomous appliances, like on a story level.
Yeah. I mean, might be blasphemy to say this, but I find this movie more interesting than Toy Story.
I think I do too, because like I said, it's the direct aspect of it. We could talk about like some of the comparisons with it, but yeah. I so what did you think just in general? Like, I mean, you were saying you found it depressing, but because I watched this when I was a kid, and there were some details I was hazy on, but I remembered the macro stuff. I just rewatched it so many times, but you'd never seen this, so what was it like for you?
Yeah. Unique experience, very much. I I don't I don't know. It's like it's a movie, right, where you're watching and you're like, okay, it's a silly kids movie. Like, you have the fucking the blind kid, who's the little kid, and they want to shelter him from reality and everything, which is kind of like in Toy Story 4 with the fucking spoon. um
Well,
but
hilariously, I'd say that like Kirby's the only character that really is characterized like an adult, other than maybe the radio. Like the rest of them come across like kids or
yeah,
younger. It, it's not like these are like because all the characters in Toy Story come across like adults pretty
yeah,
much. They seem just like adults and they're
yeah,
just
other than
toys.
the
This
spoon from Forky, isn't his name, right?
Yeah,
From
which is what's stupid because that toy's, like, born, quote, unquote, and they're like, "Hey, it's like a kid, it's like, "No, because Buzz wasn't like that, so whatever."
Yeah,
But
but like, so it's like what you're saying, like they're like young, right? So you have like this kind of innocence from them. And you said Kirby, right? Is the name of the vacuum
vacuum.
cleaner? Yeah. Like Kirby's, he kind of seems like he's just going along because he's like he doesn't want to crush these all of their dreams of like finding their master. But it is so depressing because he knows how pointless this all is, and ah, it's so
Well,
it's the entire journey feels very depressing. Where because you kind of
it
feel like they're aiming for something that they'll never achieve.
well, one of the craziest parts that for me was, when Kirby, shorts out, like, it's almost treated like a seizure. They have to, like,
Yeah.
turn him off and, like, move him around, and then after that, he, like, condemns everybody, and it's exactly what you said. It's, like, just how pointless and, like, how, like, aimless, and there's just no way that, like, they could pull this off, and then after everyone falls, he heroically jumps in, so it's yeah. What was oh, crap, what were you saying before? Oh, well, just about his character, like, I love that about him, that he doesn't really believe in what they're doing, but he pushes through because of the other characters that,
Yeah.
like that's what motivates him, but he's bad at, like, expressing that to other people.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly cares and loves all the other appliances, but he doesn't want to show it. And the characters like that are always like the most heartwarming when you watch just media in general. You know,
Oh,
the characters who are tough on the outside, but they're not actually all
well,
that tough.
it just makes such a heroic action like that, like, all that more impactful when you just see him slowly, like, reverse and then just dive right into the water, like, no fear. You're like, this guy hasn't seemed very heroic, but then all of a sudden, he just turns around and he saves everyone. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, there are many moments in this movie where it's just like, wait, are they actually dead? And that I think that's like my one
What?
criticism of the movie is that I think it doesn't commit because it is a children's movie, but like, especially at the end, I did not want to see the toaster. I wanted the toaster to be dead for like the the sacrifice to have happened, but the master fixes the toaster and it's fine. It's whatever.
Well, hilariously, I would say that's the one time where they, like, almost cheapen out because they are not afraid to full out kill, like, appliances in this movie,
I mean, yeah,
especially with the
there's the air
shop, like
conditioner that fucking explodes and
yeah,
basically kills himself.
that's the other one for one, I love how that was they animate that so well with that, like, smile and, like, tears go into his eyes, like, he mattered enough to be fixed, but yeah, like, they definitely do that at a certain for a couple of times, like, especially with him in the toaster, they definitely wanted to make it feel like the appliances weren't being killed, but so the fucking blender and the imagery for that, on the other hand, that very much is the, like, dripping oil. It's like, "What the fuck, man?" Like, that's straight up just blood and something being, like, dismantled when these things seem to have, like, a soul to them. It's just
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
we
all
could
like
never in modern kids movies.
yeah, and it's all like you see most of it like through the shadows and like it's fucking creepy. It genuinely feels like a horror movie.
Well, yeah, well, the sticking by the shop, that's the musical number, it's like a movie.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
it's a B-movie
it's B
show,
movie
and
show. Yeah.
yeah, they're definitely inspired by a lot of older movies, and I think that's where some of the, like, crazy designs for the characters come from, but w so one of the most horror like, there are scenes that are just straight up played out like a horror movie, and the nightmare has to be one of the most vivid. The fucking clown with the fire hose and the fucking forks, like I was saying, there's certain scenes where I'm like, "I wasn't scared by this when I was a kid." Like, I would have thought I would have found more elements of this movie bothersome, but it's horrifying, like, and the ending as well with, like, how they depict cars being crushed and destroyed, like, it's very much framed as, like, the end of their lives, so
Oh yeah, that was one of the moments where I was like, okay, they're actually doing this. You're showing the car going onto the conveyor belt and becoming a cube. Like that's your death. Like I don't know. I didn't watch this when I was a kid, but that would have scarred me.
yeah. It's crazy how direct they are, and like I said, that's so we could talk about this with some of the music, and a couple of scenes, but I they're able to do things with the characters that, like, you just wouldn't expect to see in most movies and give them moments that, like so the flower, I sent this to you. I don't did you read
I
that
did. I read
comment?
all of what you sent. Yeah, I thought that
Yeah,
was
holy
yeah.
shit.
I saw because after I watched the movie, I was reading a lot of letterbox reviews, and a lot of people mentioned the flower moment. It is fucking depressing.
Yeah. Well, I remembered how it looked and how it felt when I was a kid, but I didn't understand like the full nuances or why it mattered so much. For one, the music is devastating.
Yeah.
Classic Disney movies, like if you watch something like like 101 Dalmatians, I mean, this is just music in general, but music used to be more bold. I miss music that like went for the stars rather than just being like ambient, and they like Toaster just kind of crawling out to the edge of the hill and just faintly looking back. Like the music is devastating, and yeah, so this moment is like it's supposed to be representative of people that like are isolated and like almost pushy with it. They try to make a relationship work because of like sheer desperation, and then they they get rejected, and that's what the scene is supposed to be, that, like, the flowers is rejected by the toaster, because the toaster isn't a flower, it's just a reflection.
Yeah. It's just a
Eh
reflection of what the other person wants. It's very fucking deep, and all of this movie is like scenes and metaphors like that.
well, yeah, and what happens right after that, what they use that moment for with Toaster is that after that, he's a lot nicer to Blanky, and Lampy even asks him what the deal with that is, and it's because of that. That moment affected him, and because of that, the flower and Blanky are animated similarly, and they're even the same color, so that's
Mhm.
why they did it that way, and it's really deep. It's a genuinely important character moment, and a lot of the characters have, like, scenes like that.
Like I also really like the scene where they're just like the well, you said I forgot. Lampy, yeah, asks Toaster why he's treating Blanky nicer, and he's just trying to describe this feeling, and it is so interesting. Like it's the feeling you get. It's like, oh yeah, that's the feeling I feel when I think about the master. It's like, yeah, exactly. Like that feels that again is just so depressing. Like, yeah, that's the feeling I get about someone I really love that I haven't seen in fucking years, decade maybe. Like,
Yeah, and using the burnt out bulb as an example of that, and to,
yeah.
like, describe the word that they could barely, like, put to. But and they animate it too, they show it. I love the, like, he's like, "I'm done," and, like, his cord wraps around, like, the base of the lamp almost like he's, like, being hung or being, like, entangled, but then the bulb's replaced. It's I they use the animation so well to, like, highlight the emotions of the characters, and this is another thing that's just missing from modern animated movies is animating and expressing beyond what, like, looks normal, like, because every like, a lot of Pixar and animated movies just have, like, characters that are humanoid. They look human, but they're just animated versions, and it's like, it may as well just be a regular movie. We have CGI to just pull off most of what Pixar and Disney does, but full out like living toasters with like a face, or any number of the appliances that they use, like their interesting design to characterize them. Like I love Blanky having like essentially a head, but its body being almost like a toddler, like almost crawling around. They do so many interesting things with the appliances and like how they're animated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the I really like the designs as well for the appliances at the master's apartment at the end, the cutting edge ones. I
Yeah.
thought like the way they designed their faces and everything, like the computer, the teeth are the keyboard is the keyboard and everything.
Yeah, all of them have, like, huge overdefined grins, and all of
Yeah.
them, like, it's such a show of technology, and it's kind of
It's
it seems like
fascinating
it's
because like when I saw that scene, I was like, yeah, no, this makes sense. And then I just stopped and like remembered, oh yeah, this movie's from '87. Like if you're thinking about like cutting edge technology replacing old appliances in 87, imagine now. Like cuz that
Yeah.
felt so modern and I was like, "Oh, no, yeah, this is oh."
Talk about outdated but in a modern context, but it's like it's also emblematic of like the new appeal towards like hard sell. Like all of this is like on as seen on TV, and there's a salesmanship to like this song. More, more, everything you've wanted and more. So yeah, really good animation for really good storytelling. And
Yeah.
it's the perfect example of a movie that has presentation that's targeted towards kids, but and, like, maybe more, like, accessible dialogue, maybe, like, more simplistically worded dialogue that kids would be able to digest better, but in terms of the story, this doesn't feel like a kid's story.
Yeah.
This this feels like the Heart of Darkness, low key.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. I mean, I guess
well,
we
so
could talk about just like the story in general, what it like represents, because I think it is so interesting. It's basically a representation of depression
yeah, so
in many
something that I
different
real
aspects of how depression can be represented.
something that I was realizing last night that I found hilarious. Pretty much all of the characters die in this movie. Lampy uses himself as a lightning rod, and they don't fake his death out for that long. He just gets seriously hurt, but still, like they they, they show him on the ground and like fade out, and then Toaster obviously sacrifices himself at the end. Blanky gets thrown into the tree, and for a while you think he's dead. All of them fall off the edge. You were saying it yourself that like they kind of fake out deaths, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and the only
it's
one that annoyed
hilarious
me
when
was Toaster because
yeah.
the other ones kind of faced consequences for it, but Toaster, he was just like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm perfectly fine now and everything's happy." Like it,
Well,
I was thinking about this, of how to word this, but this felt like the opposite of the Apocalypse for me, the exact opposite. Because that movie I thought was
yeah,
like super upbeat and happy, but it had a bleak as hell ending, which is depressing. And this movie felt super depressing, and it has a hopeful ending. And I didn't like the ending because of that, because I wanted it to like lean into what the story was about for most of its runtime.
like commit to the misery, commit to
Yeah,
the like
like commit
the
to the
pain
point
and the
you're
death.
making about like people who face depression and feel like they're being replaced and forgotten and everything, but they kind of just nah, you know what.
Yeah. It's considering it is like the sacrifice to save like his kid, it is a little unfortunate that he just kind of gets fixed like a minute later and then that's just the ending. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, especially because of
Um
how brutal it is. Because when he goes into the
yeah,
cogs of the machine, I was like, holy shit, there's a reason they're not showing his face. It's brutal.
yeah, like they exclusively they don't animate him too much. They don't like overdo it, but they show it on screen. They show him getting crunched up and like destroyed. And I realized that as well with one of the cars during the Worthless. They show a car actually reacting to getting crushed. Like most of them are off screen, but a couple of them they basically showed them getting killed, which is just insane to me that like it's it's like some of the more like depressing stuff in Who Framed Roger Rabbit where you're like
Yeah.
this shit like I wouldn't think kids should be able to handle this.
Yeah. And I mean, I was talking to you earlier before I started recording, like, as someone who has depression myself, I found this to be genuinely really relatable and really touching. Like, especially the worthless scene, like that entire song and everything, just the different ways that people experience depression and the reasons why they might feel depressed just
Yeah.
being represented by the different cars being crushed, and obviously
Well,
the comment you sent, I'm gonna put it on screen now. I'm saying so that I remember when I'm
Yeah,
editing.
I,
It's a really good
I was
comment that really
I
summarizes
was
the entire thing.
I have absolutely no idea who wrote that, but, like, it's just it seems to just be some random account, but it's under the YouTube video of it, like, anyone who's seen this movie or anyone who's, like, curious about it, like, look up some YouTube videos, look into, like, some of the online discussion surrounding this movie from the retrospective viewers, because people have really interesting takes on this movie. And yeah, this comment, it's very long, but it's an interpretation of all of the different cars that are crushed in the worthless montage, and the interpretations are basically people with different things that have affected their life that cause them to turn to depression
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
self-deletion,
and by
and
extension,
it
not thinking their life is worth living anymore, so they don't fight when they go into the conveyor belt, or
exactly. Well, some of them fight, that's the
yeah. Well,
craziest
some of
thing,
them
but
fight,
they're
but they're
broken.
broken, so they can't. Which is another metaphor for what depression is that it causes you the handicap that you can't fight to, keep going anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Which again is so wild to say about a kids movie. Like I can't
well,
believe this is the conversation we're having, and this is just a stupid movie about a toaster. It's
well,
amazing.
the scene is playing out in front of my eyes right now, but you gotta appreciate the ending. It's the smallest detail that's easy to miss. The last car that gets thrown onto the conveyor belt drives into it himself. It literally is suicide.
Yeah,
Like, it's it's a crazy thing to say, but that's actually what they're depicting. They're saying that this car was actually so old and at the end of its rope that it decided to, like, go in itself rather than let the magnet get the satisfaction. It's bleak
yeah.
and hilariously, it's almost to the point that I don't think a kid could really grasp the nuances of this kind of a
Oh
thing.
no.
It would depend on the kid, but, like, it this is for the adults. It's like a
Yeah.
metaphor. It again, it just doesn't seem like the story is for its target audience, even though
Yeah.
it's perfectly digestible for them, so
Yeah, I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie as a kid. It seems so weird and depressing that if I watched it as a kid, I was just like, I don't get it. Why is it not fun? Because like you think,
well
oh, they started their journey and now they're seeing a bunch of cute little animals, and you think, oh, it's gonna be a fun scene where they sing and dance with the animals, and it's like, no, it's actually a scene about a worm trying to fight to survive. Because the
that
frogs are trying to kill it. Like it's so
that
fucking
scene
depressing, and everyone, all of the appliances are scared of the animals, and the fucking squirrels seeing themselves in the reflection of the toaster. Like it's so weird. Like it's not a fun movie.
yeah, like, from what I remember when I was a kid, I think the biggest appeal for the movie was the adventure aspects and, like something almost by the way, the pacing of this movie is really good. It's like a solid it's just a straight 90 minutes,
Yeah.
and they keep things going pretty quickly, and a large part of that is, like, how exciting the sequences are. Like you said, like, that whole scene with the animated animals, and, like, the swamp and the, um the thick brushes, like, they find ways to make the environments and, like, the situations that the characters get caught in interesting. But like I said, I do find it funny. I'm like, I would imagine I'd find this movie more bothersome, but maybe not. I
Yeah.
weird film, though.
Yeah, it is. It's Toy Story for people with depression. That's my take.
Not a bad take.
Yeah. It's I it this movie, I was so confused why you suggested a random children's movie from 87 last time. Now I get it. Um but this movie genuinely like really impacted me. It was one of those movies where you finish and you just think about it. Like you're just stuck thinking about it for a long time. You don't even know like how to feel, cuz I didn't know how to feel after watching this movie. It was just like, man, weird movie, huh?
Just it just sits with you. Yeah. I let me tell you. one of the biggest reasons why I look at this movie retrospectively, have you heard of the, YouTube channel Cinefix?
Yeah.
They I think they're, like, a part of IGN right now, so, like, I the quality of the channel kind of fell off, in my opinion, but they used to do really good lists, and one of them was, like, top 10 lists of just favorite movies by the people that were involved in the channel, and the one for the guy who did the writing, he started his list talking about, movies that he watched when he was a kid. The first one that he watched, or that he, like, represented was The Lion King, and he
Mm-hmm.
basically explained, like, the gravitas of that movie and how exciting and impactful everything is when you're a kid. And then he used this movie for how fear impacts us when we're kids because he so and the biggest thing that he talked about was the air conditioning. You mentioned it yourself that it seemed almost like he offed himself.
Yeah.
It
I was
there's
watching
different
that
ways
scene
to
and I
read
was
into it.
like, Jesus Christ, did they actually do this? And I forgot the name. You mentioned it already. The name of the vacuum cleaner.
Kirby?
Kirby, yeah. Kirby says, "Oh, he was annoying anyway." I was like, "Wait, he was? Like, did he just kill himself?"
I think that line's supposed to be a little ironic towards him, almost that he's like, he was a jerk anyway, and it's like, you're a jerk too. And Kirby's kind of like grows as the movie goes on. But yeah, like this is so I watched a video. There was a guy that did really good interviews with the director, and he because a lot of people interpret this as straight up suicide. I think a better way to interpret it, it's almost like an aneurysm or a heart attack. It just the guy just like was so old and just blew out and just kind of but
I think
it's
my interpretation of it is a little darker than yours, maybe.
well
Because for me, it
well
seems like
it's
someone like cutting their wrists, like trying to kill themselves, and then at the end, the master finds him and fixes him,
well,
saves him.
it's the animation and it's Phil Hartman's performance. Like I like being stuck in this stupid wall. I can't help it if the kid was too short to reach my dials. It's like Christ, like, this is something else that this movie does, like, better than Toy Story. Not straight up, it does it better than Toy Story. It deals better with, the appliances, like, lacking purpose and, like, almost losing what makes them them when they don't have an owner, and that's exactly what it feels like. The kid didn't play with
Well,
him
that's
because
the
he
entire
was
thing
too
with
short to
Blanky,
reach his
right?
dials,
Like,
and
there's the scene where they're going to sleep in the middle of like a forest or whatever, and Blanky tries to snuggle up to every one of them, and they all like get away. It's like it's lost its purpose. Blanky's purpose is
well
to snuggle up to someone.
and that's why he's always snuggling up to the picture because it's the only thing that reminds him of the master, and
Yeah.
he needs that sense of belonging. And the radio, that's one of the things with him being the most vocal of the group. He's always having those old broadcasts. I love By the way, there's a funny Cab Calloway reference that kids would never catch on to, and he also quotes Moby Dick during the river
Oh
when
yeah,
he's,
there's the fucking
hitting a
whale.
girl.
Yeah.
I stabbeth at thee. But yeah, like he's characterized kind of by I mean, he's a radio. He's supposed to be vocal. He's supposed to like bring the noise to a house. So that's how he's characterized. But a lot of the appliances from the house, for instance, with the cutting edge song, for instance, they're insecure about their place because they're being upstaged by old appliances
Hmm.
and they're insecure about that. That's the funny thing. You get that moment after they throw away the toys where the kid is like, I'm not gonna take your stuff, and they're like depressed because they're stuck where they are and they can't move on, they can't grow. It's it's better handled than Toy Story. They're a lot more direct with it, and they're not afraid to show like the complete despair that puts the characters under.
Yeah, it's kind of why I don't love that the ending was a little bit of a cop out, a bit of a hopeful ending, I guess, because like with Toy Story, it's just like, oh, you're furious about being replaced, but you always have a place in Andy's heart. Adorable, you know. But with this, it's more like it is a film about something deeper than that. It's the feeling of worthlessness that comes to every person. Like, obviously, this is a story about appliances, but these appliances are meant to, be metaphors for humans. And the things they feel are so, you know, intrinsic, maybe not intrinsic, but they happen so often with a lot of humans, people with depression especially, that having the ending be kind of like just resolving itself kind of felt like a cop out when they are so all of the characters, they face so much hardship for something that kind of it should feel hopeless because they're searching for something that doesn't really exist. And I think it would make more sense if like they were to find purpose within themselves instead of finding purpose with the master getting them back and be like, oh, we I still need you because I'm going to college.
I would say it still kind of fits because it ties into something that they wanted. Like they knew from the beginning what their goal was and what gave them purpose in life, and they get that by going back to him.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think you won't disagree that the end of the movie shouldn't be Toaster commits suicide and from that saves the others, and then the movie just stops like that shouldn't be necessarily encouraged. Like, self-sacrifice is for your friends is one thing, but it's like it's not necessarily the note that you wanna end a movie like this on to or like to have a positive edge on that, I suppose. And I I feel like there's an implication that the main character or the kid what is it Rob or something? Or
Oh, I
I
don't
forgot what his name
remember.
was.
I just call him the
They
master in my
always
mind.
I mean, the characters do anyway. I I like the idea that he's the one who fixes them, even though in a lot of ways he does kind of undo the death of the AC and undo the death of Toaster. He's almost like beyond the depiction of life with what that means for the appliances in this movie, and he's like the only one who could fix them, quote unquote, or bring them back to life. But
Hmm.
it is a little cheap considering
Yeah, but
how
the
they're
way you explained it now has actually kind of convinced me. Like, if you see it as a way of like he's a metaphor for like finding your purpose in life and going after it, like him not as like a being in this universe, but it's more like a metaphor for what um
yeah.
these
They
characters are doing. These characters who face this insane depression, a feeling of worthlessness, they find something that they can cling on to give them hope. Like, I think that works fairly well, and then him fixing them at the end, kind of just finding their purpose fixes them. I think that could work fairly well. I think that interpretation works well.
they do the same thing in Toy Story. We keep referencing that, but that movie kind of Andy isn't really a character in the story. He's kind of the catalyst to get the plot going, right?
Yeah.
And to motivate the characters because it's all about him in terms of what the characters are trying to do in any given story. But yeah,
I think the master
trying
is a bit less of a character than Andy, though.
definitely Andy is better characterized and the acting is better. I gotta say the humans the performances are slightly sillier, but not too big of a deal in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other stuff. We've gone through most of it and the big stuff. I think the ending is the biggest thing that's sticking out in your mind as well as mine. So
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. I really 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 enjoyed this movie. It is nothing like any other like children's movie I've ever seen. Cuz like we talked about Rango and we are like, "Oh, yeah, no, this is a children's movie that's like for all ages and adults are going to get a lot more from it than children, but it's still for children." I genuinely think this is a an animated movie for adults. It does not feel like it's a movie for children. It's
yeah,
too
I
deep and
agree.
too depressing for kids. I don't think any kid would understand the full extent of what this movie's trying to say. Um, yeah,
It's straight up as if like the story is not for them. And I need to read the book. Apparently, this is based on like a classic children's novella, and I wonder what that's like because kids' books used to have teeth. They like Aesop's fables and stuff like that. There used to be kids' stories that were darker, and it's a story that seems out of place for a kids' movie. I was laughing last night when I was thinking about Rango because yeah, that was the movie you gave me that you watched when you were a kid. It's like that movie feels like it's almost made for adults with how entertaining it is and how Western it is, but this is
Yeah.
like a
I'm
a bleak,
Yeah, I mean
crazy deep
Rango
story with
feels extremely tame compared to this movie. Even though Rango also has a scene of suicide. But like this movie
ah,
has like many scenes of suicide. This movie's all entirely about depression. It's insane.
yeah, it's I really think that is what they're going for, and I think it might vibe more with adults. I would recommend this to people that are just that might appreciate some of the metaphors and what they do with the animation because I'm just like, well, honestly, yeah, on like a first viewing, and even if because this isn't something that I think you have to look at with nostalgia goggles in the slightest. It's just it it's accessible for kids. The dialogue is simplistic, like, to make it so kids will be able to understand more of it, but in terms of what the actual story is, it seems like a story that's meant for people that have experienced more of life than kids can experience. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Like you kind of need to have a bit more life experience to like fully get this film. It's I find it very hard for a child to understand this.
yeah. I'm not we always kind of dance around ratings whenever we do these, and
Look,
I keep always
instead
talking
of
about how
doing
stupid it is.
ratings, I prefer to do you recommend, yes or no? Because that
Yeah.
is for me works better. Like, do you recommend this movie? I 100% do. But you gotta be prepared because it's a fucking depressing movie, even as an adult.
For sure. Glad to have rewatched it. I was thinking I don't remember the last time I did. It might have been over 10 years ago, like, at least from beginning to end,
Uh huh.
because 'cause I'd forgotten some of the details even though I remembered most of it, but it's it's a wild one, and yeah.
Definitely a worthwhile movie to watch.
Ooh, this is kind of, it seems like we're rounding out, but, small detail I wanted to point out that I don't know if I mentioned this, in passing. Brad Bird was, one of the writers on here, and there's a joke. Do you know about the A113 thing?
No, I don't think so.
So there is a classroom, I believe it's at the Cal Institute of Arts, and there's a reference that Pixar movies and a bunch of other movies make to that classroom, and it's A113 is what
Uh
it
huh.
is. Andy's license plate instead of the original Toy Story is A113, and there's a bunch of different references to it in Pixar. It's in Mission Impossible
Yeah,
Ghost
and it's in this
Protocol.
movie because it's
Yeah, it's
the
their
apartment number. Yeah.
It's the apartment. They're blatant with it, later on, but that's you see it slightly, and I was like, "Oh, man." I think Brad Bird started the joke in 1987, and this was the same year this movie came out, so I think it was on The Simpsons in 1990, but it's kind of funny getting an origin, like, something as early, for that joke as 1987, like, way before Pixar came on, and for it to be so similar to Toy Story.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
actually insane how similar it is to Toy Story, but especially because Toy Story is a Pixar movie, right? It's not a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it was the first,
yeah, so
so
like it is kind of funny to think like, hey, they kind of stole from Disney, but it's
well
fine.
well, yeah, like, I think there's enough, like, room for interpretation to call it, like, inspiration, but there let me tell you something, like, with Sid, and the compared to the guy in the shop, like, especially the use of the vice, the ending being like, very similar to Toy Story 3, like, it's a Kimba Simba deal, but there's some of it where I'm like, "Man,
I
you
think
seem
this is
really
worse
inspired."
than the Kimba Simba deal because you know the Kimba thing
The
is like bullshit. It's not that similar at all. Like the fucking YMS's video is great at showing that. But this I actually think is like remarkably similar to like the Toy Story trilogy. Like I think
Yeah,
some of the ideas are like way too similar.
well, like I said, it almost feels like they drew from this movie to craft the themes of the trilogy of like
Yeah.
all 3 movies. It's they obviously trade in very different ideas than what they were going for in
Yeah,
this
Toy
one,
Story is
but
a lot more
it's
adventure, fun, happy family movie. This is not a fun movie.
not at all, but really good. I like I said, this is not one that you have to go through with nostalgia goggles. It sounds bizarre to say, but I think as an adult, you might really get something out of The Brave Little Toaster if you've never
Hmm.
seen it. It has something to say about life, and it has something to say about the human experience, and it's something that a kid might not be able to grasp, but adults absolutely will, and it low key, check this one out if you've never heard of it, because it's important.
Yeah. All right. My time to recommend something. So, I assume you're gonna be able to find a way to watch this movie. It got pretty big, but I'm gonna
Mm,
recommend a Brazilian movie.
I
So,
think you may have referenced this
no, it's
before,
not that
or
one. That one I'm reading the book before we do that episode. So this is another
oh,
thing.
you're gonna read the book. I
I am
might have to
actually
do the
reading
same.
it. Oh no, I don't want you to read it. I want us both to have different experiences. Okay, this is
I feel you.
that I'm crafting that episode. It's still being crafted.
What's cooking?
It's cooking exactly. So, in 2019, it's funnily enough, both movies came out the same year. I actually think the movie that I'm reading the book for is better, but this is a movie that I remember watching it the year it came out, 2019, and thinking it was not as good as people were making it out to be. But I want to see an outside perspective on this movie, especially because the movie is a little bit about Americans and the Americanization of things in general. It's fairly interesting. It's
Mm.
basically a Tarantino movie in some ways. It's interesting. It's very inspired by Tarantino. Um, it's called Bacurau. Um, uh,
Bacurau.
yeah, and yeah, it's I remember thinking it was not as good as people were saying, but liking it, and I'm interested to rewatch it because I've only seen it the one time, and that was like 5 years ago. So who knows what I'll think of it now. But it was Brazil's Oscar. No, basically, every country gets to nominate one of the movies that came out that year for the foreign languages Oscars, Oscar ones. I think the other one that I'm talking about, The Invisível, The Invisible Life, should have been nominated instead of this one because I think it's better. But this was the one nominated by Brazil. So yeah,
Hmm.
and it got fairly big. I think YMS even reviewed it, if I remember
Oh wait,
correctly.
did the other film get released the same year? What was that?
Yeah,
The Invisible what?
The Invisible Life. Yeah, both were released the
Ah,
same year. I actually think YMS reviewed both movies because he saw them at a festival. So yeah, they got fairly big. Bakura more so, and
hmm.
so yeah, it's
I've
I'm curious.
never heard of this. Completely in the black. So
I think you
wow.
should go watch it without even reading about it. It's interesting. Um,
Interesting stuff. Wow.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do like a Brazilian movie recommendation for a
I,
while because I'm just like it'll be interesting to talk about my culture for once. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you gave a hell of a pitch with it being like quasi Tarantino. I'm curious now. Wow.
yeah. All right. Well,
All
and
right.
then we'll be back next time for Bacurau. I don't actually know when because next week is Christmas.
Yeah, we might take the week for the holidays, folks.
We'll
Don't
see.
burn us at the stake.
Yeah. If well, I think we'll actually upload on the this episode we're recording right now on Christmas, so we'll probably miss the week after Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Enjoy
Yeah,
our
Merry
brave
Christmas
little
if you're
toaster.
watching this. Yeah. Brave little toaster for Christmas. Oh my god, what do we do?
Maybe I should have gone Christmas.
Should have picked a different one. Oh no.
Oh man.
All right, on that note, Merry Christmas, folks. Happy New Year in case we don't see you next week. And yeah, Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time with Bakurao.
Merry Christmas, all.